welcome to another edition of the Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit video series. Today we have a great story. A young lady who's going to tell her story of how she overcame addiction. KImmii, thank you so much for being here today, and we are so excited that you're here and to tell your story. I have never in the Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit video series done anything on drug addiction. So you are the first one to ever do this, and I can't thank you enough for being part of what we do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It is the first time I've ever did anything like this, so I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and we're going to have a good time, and we're going to reach a lot of people, and you're going to help a lot of people with your story. So thank you for being willing to tell it and share it. So are you from around here? How long you been around in Goldsboro?
I have been here since I was actually born in Texas, but I grew up in LaGrange, North Carolina, Seven Springs, and then I've actually lived in Pikeville with my husband for about 3 years.
Okay. You won't believe this, but guess where I was born?
Where?
Texas.
What part?
Del Rio. You even know where that's at?
I've never been to Texas that I remember, so I left at a very early age, but I was born in Greenville, Texas.
Yeah, I left when I was 1. I've never been back.
Same here. I left when I was
So we can claim that we were born there, but we've never really been there besides that. So you've been here most of your life. So I guess I'll kind of get into it. So what led to you getting mixed up with drugs?
There was some childhood, trauma that I dealt with. Both of my parents happened to be addicts. My father, tended to be abusive. Both of my parents, for as long as I can remember, always struggled with drug addiction. So it was in my immediate environment. And then, some other childhood, trauma happened. And it took me a while before I ever said anything. And whenever I did, I just wasn't advocated for like I was supposed to. It caused a division in my family. No one really spoke up for me, and no therapy took place. Nothing was really done. It was really just pushed under the rug.
So do you think because of the childhood trauma and what you went through with your parents, do you think it was maybe an escape?
It was definitely a way for me to numb the pain. I started, the abuse happened around 7 until I was 11, whenever I told. And by age 13, I was already using drugs on a regular basis, and I began to become very promiscuous. I was already having an active sex life and got pregnant, and had a miscarriage at 14 and got pregnant again and had a baby at 15. Like, I was just,
Wow. You tried to get help and it was swept under the rug.
Yes.
And so you never really had the chance to go to therapy. No one really helped you. You were kind of on your own.
Yes.
So when did it all kind of, I guess, just blow up? I mean, because, and you just kind of go, okay, I give up. What kind of happened at that point?
There was a few times whenever I got older that I did try to reach out. My father kind of, got thrown out of my life, and my mother did pass away at a very young age at 45, and I was only 17. So I've pretty much been on my own since I was 17. And there was a few times that I reached out for help, but I ended up losing my children in 2012. And at that point, I had 3 children. And so I lost my children, and I had a year to get my stuff together. And the court gave me this huge list of things to do, and every one of them seemed impossible. At that point, I was very much addicted to methamphetamine, and pretty much methamphetamine and opiates. And so instead of doing what I was supposed to do to get my kids together, it just made it more easy for me to use drugs because I didn't have any more responsibility. And so instead of doing everything that I was supposed to do, I started making methamphetamine so I could sell it and support my habit. And within a year, I got busted with a meth lab, and I was arrested and got put under a $500,000 bond in Wayne County Jail.
What was that? And I'm asking you this question because I'm hoping other people who maybe are going through what you're going through might see this. What was that like when they came in and busted you?
It was it was something out of a movie. I'm obviously in the middle of doing something extremely illegal. Um, and they busted the cops. There was this whole SWAT team, and they busted through. We were in a barn outside, and they just busted through, and they had guns, and it's like they just came swarming in, and it was just one of the scariest moments of my life.
What was going through your head at that point?
That it was over. I had other, smaller charges, some possession, nothing as big. Whenever you're in the middle of, living that life, pretty much the worst thing that can happen to you is being busted with the meth lab, because it's automatic jail time. You're not getting probation for it. And so I just felt like everything was over. I was halfway trying to do what I was supposed to do for my kids and still use drugs too. And just, I knew at that point that everything was over and I was going to be gone for a long time.
So that meth lab, it I guess not only supported your habit, but did it kind of support you as well? I mean,
Yes, I did not work a regular job. I had lived in other people's places, but I was able to, make enough to where I had my own place. And so, yes, it supported somewhat of a life. I was able to have a roof over my head.
when you were selling, was there a target market, someone that or a certain age limit or anything?
I kind of fell into it because I always seemed to associate myself with drug dealers. I was taught how to do it. I never was really that good at making it. I would just help out with the process, but I always managed to um, be with a drug dealer. And so he would just pretty much tell me what to do. There were certain things, like when gathering materials, certain people who either wanted to use the substance or needed extra money, more poverty level, that we were able to go to help gather materials.
I guess, who were you selling to mostly? Was it kids? Was it adults? Was it just,
No, there is. So at least with the people that I hung out with, there was kind of like an underlying moral code, and I'm sure that there are kids doing it because I was using at a very young age. But as far as my immediate circle, no.
okay, okay. Okay, so now you're in prison, $500,000 bond. How long were you in prison?
Well, I was in jail for that part. I was in prison for 3.5 years, but that's kind of, where God kind of stepped into my story. And so when you are in Wayne County Jail, if you have a bond that is over $100,000, you are immediately put on at least it was then, I don't know if it is now. You are immediately put on suicide watch. And so you are locked in a cell all day for 2 weeks. You cannot speak with other inmates. You cannot use the phone. You cannot leave your cell unless you're taking a shower. And you're not let out while other inmates are, out as well. So you're literally stuck there the entire time. And that's kind of, I just remember feeling very hopeless. Like I had no idea what was going to happen, how long I was going to be And that someone, it was a trustee, she came up and I was sitting there crying, and that's when she handed me the Bible. And she said, I don't know if you believe in God, but he just wanted me to tell you that he loves you and to read Psalm 27. And that was actually on, whenever I just posted on my Facebook, where I don't remember the whole psalm, but it just felt like he was speaking directly to me. But the last part, 27:14, was wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. And I had been asking what was I supposed to do. And so I just took it as he was telling me to wait. And that's what I did. And I was supposed to get 5 to 7 years because I had previous other drug charges. So I was on a different level. I wasn't a first time offender.
Right.
And I had even told him that I would accept 5 to 7 years. And whenever I go into court to sign my plea deal, my lawyer was like, I don't know what happened. He said, you only got 3.5 years. He said, just sign it and we're just going to keep our mouth shut. And it was just like, it was one of the first things that God did, to just let me know that he was there and he was, protecting me and watching over me, and he had control.
With Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit, a lot of the things that I post and I say and I go to churches and talk about is purpose and dreaming big and going after those dreams and that purpose. But what I want people to also understand is sometimes people's dream is just to survive.
Yes, sir.
It's a dream like, God, I just want to survive. And if I can achieve that dream, we'll go on to the next one. And everybody's dream is different. I don't want people to just think that Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit is, hey, let's go out and play in the NFL. No, I mean that's great. Don't get me wrong, but some people, and you were at that point. It was I just want to live and survive. Let's tackle that one first. So what was prison like, and how long did you actually serve?
I did serve 3.5 years. It was a locked sentence. It was 3.5, and it could have went up to 5 years if I got in trouble while I was there. And so I served my minimum term. And it was, it was a very beautiful experience. After I rededicated my life to the Lord, I just had a peace throughout the whole situation. Um, there was one time when I've kind of lost faith whenever, because my children at this point are still in foster care.
Right.
And I'm going monthly. I'm being taken back and forth to court, every month or every 2 months to go through, my kids being in social
Right.
services care.
Right. I
So,
got you.
yeah. And I was praying and I knew that he was going to do something, even though, because I wanted my children to go. Even though I wasn't very close with my family, I had one aunt who had been there with me from the beginning, and I really wanted her to take my children because I was scared my children were going to be put up for adoption and I would never see
Right.
them again. And when I asked her at first, she wanted to. They had, between her and my uncle, they had 5 children together. She had a lot going on because her father was sick. She just was not able to take in 3 more kids. And she was the only person that I knew, that could do it. And so I was starting to feel like my children were going to be put up for adoption. And I went to court one last time, and I had asked her that very early on, and I just quit. I didn't want to make her feel bad.
Right.
And so some time went on, and I went to court, and my lawyer's like, I'm very sorry, but unless something happens the next time you come to court next month, your kids are going to be put up for adoption.
Now, how old were your kids at this point?
So whenever they got taken from me, they were 2, 4, and 8. And so by this time, they're probably 3, 5, and 9. It had been about a year or two into it. And so I had just went back to prison and I was just very discouraged. I was trying to accept the fact that maybe I just wasn't meant to have my children back. And I just started praying that wherever they went, they were protected. And I got a letter in the mail, and it was my aunt. And she said, I just wanted to let you know that the Lord has laid it upon my heart to get your children. And, I'm calling social services and we're going to get this worked out. And so my children were not put up for adoption at all. And it was just, I fell on my knees right then and just started praying and just thanking God because, even though I had lost faith and was discouraged, he had just worked something else out that I didn't think was able to be worked out. Even my lawyers, nobody in there thought that I would ever, have any kind of contact with my kids just because of how bad I messed up and how long I was going to be in prison.
That's amazing. I mean, right there we could end the interview, and that's a great story. But there's still more. So
Yeah.
you serve your 3.5 years, and you get out. What happens then? And what was it like walking through the doors?
I was extremely nervous. I wasn't scared of using. I had, had this great foundation built up. There was a lot of downtime in prison. And so I used it to study the word. And so I felt like I was very strong whenever I got out.
Did they offer any type of therapy or anything like that while you were in prison for drug abuse?
They do have certain drug programs, yes, and I don't know why because I always, I had drug charges that I never got placed in them. You're not always able to pick what your assignment is.
Right.
And the prison system is overloaded, and so sometimes I don't know how I got overlooked, but I did. I ended up being able to do an internship at Raleigh where for graphic design, and I actually worked in the quick copy plant right next to the tag plant in Raleigh prison. Because
Okay.
that's where all your tags come from is women prison in Raleigh. That they
Uh,
make them.
Now we know.
Now you know.
So you're walking through and you're getting out. What's it like? What's the feeling? You feel good. You have a good foundation. Where are you going? You're going to see the kids. What happened next in your life?
My aunt, like I said, she's been there from day one, and she was there to pick me up. She had been raising my children at this point for 2 years, and I was able to I was on work release before I got put in prison. I was a manager, and I was not a manager before whenever I got out of prison, I was just a regular employee, and my manager asked me to stay on after I was released, and if I did, she would make me manager. And so that's what I did. I was able to walk out and walk into a job, and my aunt had me a vehicle ready. I had a very good support system getting out of prison.
So that support system you never had as a child.
No.
You accept Jesus, and now that support system miraculously comes.
Yes.
And you have, I don't know if I've ever heard of someone having a job as soon as they get out of prison.
I was
That's a
able to,
miracle in itself.
yes, it was awesome. My boss there at whenever I did work at McDonald's, she did I did not stay a manager very long because I decided, you know, very shortly after I got out that I wanted to go to school. But I think I stayed on 6 months after I got out, and I got like 2 or 3 raises within that 6 months. She was, I was just surrounded by amazing people.
So after 6 months, what happened?
Um, my aunt knew that I wanted to help people. It had been a desire that I knew. I didn't exactly know what the Lord had in planned. I still honestly don't, even where I'm at today. But I knew that I wasn't just supposed to work an ordinary job. I knew that just after everything the Lord had done for me, that I was going to be working in some way, shape, or form with people who had hurt and like I did. And so I started, by August 2017, I was enrolled at Wayne Community for Human Services.
That's awesome.
I graduated in May. And during your Associates for Human Services, you have to do 2 internships. And I thought that I wanted to go, well, I did want to go to Dark Cherry, because I felt like I wanted to work in some sort of a rehab. And we could never get it figured out. You know, we would always try to make contact with them to set up a contract, and no one would ever get back up with us. And so I had been seeing a lot of things about Wayne Pregnancy Center on Facebook, and how they kind of stepped out of their pregnancy center box, and they were, you know, reaching out to girls who suffered from sex trafficking, substance abuse issues, domestic violence, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so I called and set up an interview, and for my first internship, I interned with Wayne Pregnancy Center. And then for my second internship, I interned with their sister organization, which is Cry Freedom Missions.
Right. So you work with Beverly Weeks.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I know Beverly a little bit, just a little bit. Very nice lady from our interactions with each other. You know, I don't break down often in these interviews, but your story and the way you came back full force is amazing.
Thank
And
you.
you just graduated. Wow. What? That's amazing. You know, and I want to tell you something, because I tell people this a lot, because, and I don't know if this will happen to you or not. I know it happens to other people, and it happens to me. Never forget where you came from,
Amen.
because you're going to probably go through something else to where you're going to doubt yourself. And I always tell people, why are you doubting? Why? Because look at what you've already done. Look at how far you've come. You've jumped these huge mountains, and now you just got a little molehill and you're worried about it.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not trying to preach to you by any means.
Oh, no.
I just I wanted to say it on here because it just gave me the opportunity. I'm not telling you, I'm telling anyone who's going to watch this. But people do that. People just forget of everything they've done, and then something small happens and they go, oh man, not again. I'm like, what do you mean not again? You're superwoman. You just jumped a huge mountain, and now you got a molehill. And it's everybody. We all kind of do that to ourselves. I love your story.
Thank you.
That is absolutely amazing. And we're not stopping, because, I mean, you get married.
Yes.
You're reunited. I mean, you have your kids, you're reunited. Kind of tell us what that's like when all that happened.
You know, and it was kind of weird that you just said that, because I have done that, not necessarily forgotten what God had done, but, you know, I felt like God did so much while I was incarcerated that I thought that I had to do everything whenever I had the opportunity, and I tried to do it within my own strength. And I've been able to get frustrated. It's been such a beautiful experience, because I've never been being married, because I've never been with a man who took care of me, who loved me. This is the only healthy relationship I've ever been in my entire life. And we had a daughter together. Her name is Lily. And it's just like, I never ever thought that this would happen to me. I never thought that I would live in a stable home where I don't have to worry about, you know, of course we want, you know, things that we don't have, but all of our basic needs are met. And it's just such a blessing, because I never had that before whenever I became older. I could never achieve those on a regular, consistent basis, just to be stable and have a normal life, but I would get frustrated because I wouldn't read my Bible as much, or I wouldn't pray as much because I had so much time whenever I was in prison. And so
Right.
that's kind of my struggle now is, making time for the Lord, because I can always just feel it within my spirit, when I'm not giving him the time that he deserves and I try to do things on my own. I get burned out fast. I just, so I have done that, and to I try to have other people hold me accountable or hold myself accountable when I can.
I think a lot of people who follow Christ go through that struggle. I know mine is reading the Bible. Matter of fact, my in-laws bought me a brand new study Bible a few weeks ago. I absolutely love it because I love history and I love to know more. I want to know the backstory, not just the story.
Yes.
And so, that was a huge help. Um, and one thing I'm not great at it, but I'm better at it, is I do try to pray, because that's easy to do when I'm on my way to work.
Yes.
I'm doing this or I'm doing that, and I can find myself, okay, RJ, turn the radio off. Let's have a conversation. Um, and that's important, because it's important to hear God's voice when He's talking to you, because it will change your life. I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
That is an awesome story, and um, you're going to help people. This is going to help people. People are going to see this and go, look what she's been through. I can do this too. So, and I know a million people have told you this, but I'm so proud of you.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you're amazing. You're an amazing woman, and I can't thank you enough for being part of Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. And everybody, as you can tell from this interview, you never stop dreaming big, praying hard, and never, ever quit. Thanks for joining us.